Tonight, Moore meets with Ned Yost, and Ned Yost apparently wants Nicky Lopez in his lineup every day. And so they decided it was best if Lopez could play second and move Merrifield back to the outfield, which is what he said on Saturday he wouldn't do. I'm confused, aren't you? Well, anyway, Merrifield says after speaking to Moore, he could handle outfield duty and that he was willing to do what was best for the Kansas City Royals. And that he was excited about Nicky Lopez coming up. So here comes Lopez. He's a fifth-round pick in the 2016 amateur draft. In 31 games at AAA Omaha, he was hitting .353 with a .500 slugging percentage, 6 doubles, a triple, 3 homers, 9 stolen bases, and 27 runs scored. So the Royals believe that Lopez is ready for regular play every day. Now, that's why I tend to think Lopez, although I don't think the talent is better than Keston Hiura, the long-term projection for opportunity is more certain right now. If you're speculative in the way that you add players, then certainly go for Hiura. But if you want a player going forward that you feel has the best chance of not only being there the middle of May, but also the end of June and on into July, Lopez may well be your man. Well, what's the shakedown by getting Lopez playing second base every day? Because you know there's got to be some movement. Well, by moving Merrifield to right field, Soler, who has been being the right fielder, moves to designated hitter, which means Gutierrez, who has been playing DH and third base, rotating some with Hunter Dozier, may be the odd man out. Or it could be that there's rotation at third base between Dozier and Gutierrez. Who knows what they're going to do there? But we do know that, or at least I believe, Gutierrez is right now the short man on the stick, so to speak. And we'll just see how the Royals handle that playing opportunity for Gutierrez and Dozier and Soler going forward. Before I go into the standings, I want to take a second and I want to ask my trivia question of the day. And it's Yankee related, okay? This goes back, a few years, okay? Probably easy for some of you, but here we go. Against what opposing team did Babe Ruth hit his first career home run? Okay? Against what opposing team did Babe Ruth hit his first career home run? The answer will come right after I go through the standings. So, as we go into today's play, Tampa Bay leads the American League East by a half game over the New York Yankees, by 3 games over the Red Sox, by 8.5 games over Toronto, and by 10.5 games over the Orioles. Now, I think of note, the Yankees are winners of 7 of 10. The Red Sox are winners of 8 of 10, and 5 in a row. So, for those of us who thought and hoped that the American League East would be a dogfight all year long, guess what? Our wishes are coming true. Yeah, they are. Because all 3 of those teams are playing just lights out baseball, and I expect to see it the rest of the summer. Moving to the American League Central, the Twins at 25-15 are 4 games ahead of Cleveland, 6 games ahead of the White Sox, 6.5 games ahead of Detroit, and 11.5 games ahead of Kansas City. That's the second biggest lead in the American League, because the largest lead in the American League, and boy how things change quickly, is out west, where the Houston Astros, and are they not scoring runs like crazy town? I'm telling you, the Astros are now 27-15. They have the best record in the American League. They are winners of 9 of their last 10, and they have won 6 in a row. And in doing so, they are now leading second place Anaheim. Where did that come from? Second place Anaheim by 6.5 games, a 7-game lead over fading Seattle, an 8-game lead over Texas, and an 8.5-game lead over the swinging A's in Oakland. Wow, Houston is really opening up some ground in that division. In the National League, the Phillies still keeping on. I watched them play last night, and what a game. Cesar Hernandez hit a jack home run in the 7th inning of that game into the right field stands. The Phillies are loaded. Harper not hitting, but I watched him make some great plays. The play of the night, the Brewers had the bases loaded down 3, and Mike Moustakas is facing a left-handed pitcher, and the first 2 or 3 pitches, Moustakas is just wailing away up there, right? Can't hit it. The ball is like a slider in the dirt. Moustakas is swinging out of his shoes. Can't touch it. And then a pitch comes down close to the middle of the plate. And Moustakas just eats it alive. He pulls it into almost the right field corner. Here comes Bryce Harper racing over, jumps, catches the ball in the air, slides head first with the ball in his glove for the 3rd out of the inning. Brewers don't score. Moustakas just stares at him like, what's going on? Where'd that come from? But Harper, though he didn't do it with his bat, he was doing it with his glove. The Phillies the rest of the team hit for him. Odubel Herrera had a 2-run double late to provide the winning margin. They're 3.5 games up on the Braves. The Braves are 21-20. And I can just see a move coming from Atlanta next. I can see Ender Inciarte going to the bench. They're going to bring a rookie up. We're going to talk about in just a moment. That's going to happen sooner than later, folks. We'll get to that, but just look for that. But Atlanta's in second place, 3.5 games up. The Mets are 4.5 out. The Nationals are now 8 games out of first place, 16-24, playing .400 baseball. They have won 3 of their last 10. And Miami, of course, 13.5 out. Go to the Central Division. How about those Cubs? It just seems like, tell me if I'm wrong, it just seems like about, 2 weeks ago, we're lauding the Cardinals. We're almost like the Cardinals are the juggernaut of the National League. And St. Louis, we almost, coronated them the winners of the National League Central, some people. Well, a little too quick. Because in their last 10 games, they have been mirror images of each other. The Cubs have gone 8-2, and the Redbirds have gone 2-8. The Cubs at 24-14, winners of 8 of 10 and 2 in a row, sit atop the National League Central, 2.5 games ahead of the Milwaukee Brewers, 3.5 games ahead of the Cardinals, 4 games ahead of the Pirates, and 7.5 games in front of the Cincinnati Redlegs. Wow. And the Cubs have it going on. Now, the thing that concerns me there, of course, you can't control it, but it's injuries. And we know Rizzo is out tonight, 2nd game in a row with a bad back. Rizzo's been heating it up lately. Bryant's been heating it up lately. And you just hope from a Cub perspective that the injury doesn't slow down the train. That train is going down the track downhill fast and picking up speed. The Cubs pitching has been outstanding. John Lester, wow. Has he not been just John Lester, right? So the Cubs continue to win, and now they've opened up a 2.5 game lead. The Dodgers lead the West, 27-16, the second best record in the National League. The Cubs now have the best record in the National League coming into today's play. Dodgers have won 7 of 10. They lead the Diamondbacks by 3.5. They lead the Padres by 4, the Rockies by 6.5, and the Giants by 8.5. Those Rockies at 6.5 out, they need some infusion of some young blood. They got a rookie they need to be calling up. So let's talk about rookies for a minute. We've already talked about 3 who have been called up today. Let's talk about some more who may be called up sooner than later. And as we talk about these rookies, I not only want to give you a rookie who's really performing well, but I want to tell you why I think the call is imminent. Okay? Let's look at Denver, Colorado first. Okay, we came into the season and it seemed like so-called experts were crowning Garrett Hampson as the next, great second baseman. Was he going to be Joe Morgan? He could steal bases. He could hit for power. He could do it all. Well, guess what? Mr. Hampson, he's back at AAA today. Yes, he was sent down to AAA. And, of course, the contest at second base during the spring was between the hot-hitting Hampson and the hot-hitting Ryan McMahon. Well, neither one of them are hot-hitting. Okay, Hampson's at AAA, and McMahon, well, he's 2 for his last 11. He's hitting .232 on the year, and Colorado's in 4th place. Now, this is a team, right, that everybody thought could win the National League West. As I told you a minute ago, they're 6.5 games out. They got to have something to get them going. So let me proffer you Mr. Brendan Rodgers. Now, Brendan Rodgers is the 9th overall ranked prospect in all of baseball. Okay, or he was before call-ups started coming. He was ranked 6 notches ahead of Keston Hiura. And everything I'm reading on Twitter today is it's Keston Hiura Day. So I guess when Brandon Rodgers gets called up, it'll be Brandon Rodgers Day times 2. But Rodgers was hit in the head by a pitch on Saturday. Now, prior to that, he'd been tearing it up. Okay, so you got to wonder after getting hit in the head, how's he going to respond to that? Well, let me tell you how he responded to that. He responded as you would want him to respond. Last night, for the Isotopes, the Albuquerque Isotopes, Rodgers went 4 for 5 with a pair of homers, that's 2 RBIs, and 3 runs scored. Okay. Rodgers, there's no other way to say it. He's been bashing, killing it. 346 with a 638 slug, 9 homers, and 20 RBIs and 147 plate appearances. So, I gotta ask. Rockies, wake up! Knock, knock. What are you waiting for? This is your number 1 draft pick in 2015. He's one of the top performing players at AAA. I mean, come on! I can't believe they haven't called him up already. And seeing the influx of rookies coming up, I mean, I own a share of Rodgers in one of my leagues, and I can't believe he's not being called up. I believe it's going to happen this week. I really do. And all you can give me is like one more bad game, if you will, from their second baseman now, Mr. McMahon. And here you go. It's going to be Brendan Rodgers Day all across Fantasyland. So now let's talk about another failing situation and a player that can help change that. Okay, Atlanta. I told you a few minutes ago that the Braves are in second place behind the Phillies. They're 21-20. They're middling, right? And their center fielder coming into today's action, Ender Inciarte, is hitting a robust 218. 218! In my book, that's not good. Okay? I don't know about your book, but in my book, not good hitting 218. And it means usually you got to go, right? Well, the Braves have someone who can take his place. First of all, you take Mr. Acuna. You take Ronald Acuna in left field, you move him to center field, and you bring up Austin Riley. Riley was named the International Player of the Week for last week. He was named that on Monday, the 13th of May, for the previous week. All right. He's playing for AAA Gwinnett. And over his last 7 games, he's 4 home runs and 8 RBIs. His OPS for the week last week, 1.184, only marginally better than his total for 2019, which is 1.047. He has been Clark Kent, a.k.a. Superman in AAA this year. Ridiculous power. Okay? Trimmed his strikeout rate from 29% last year to 19% this year. I just think he's got nothing left to prove at AAA. It's just a matter of him playing a position because, Donaldson's at third where Riley usually plays. So what have the Braves been doing? Well, for the last 5 games, he's played outfield. He's trying to make a outfielder, and, my question is, how long does it take for a professional athlete like Austin Riley to play outfield and get used to it? He's ready! He's ready. And Atlanta, you know what? You are too. You are too. You need to make this move. And you wouldn't be putting Austin Riley in the outfield if you weren't ready to make this move. So if you are an Austin Riley speculator, if you've thought about adding him, now's the time to do it. Because when you let it be released that the Braves have called him up, there's somebody in your league that's going to be faster to the switch than you. Now's the time to get Austin Riley. Now's the time to get Brandon Rodgers. The call is coming sooner than later. And I think it's going to be this week. Now, those are the 2 guys that I think are the most imminent. I've got a third one, and I've talked about him. In fact, he's my favorite of the bunch. Jordan Alvarez for Houston. I mean,